Have you ever wondered what would happen if a dinosaur suddenly appeared in a traditional African village? Not in a scary city-destroying movie kind of way, but just there. Imagine this, nestled deep within the rolling savannas, where acacia trees dot the landscape and the earth is a rich reddish-brown, lies a small, vibrant homestead. The circular huts, crafted from mud and thatched with golden grass, stand strong under the vast African sky. Life here follows the rhythm of the sun and the seasons. The women grind maize, their laughter echoing in the morning air, while children chase goats in the kraal, and the elders share stories under the shade of a baobab tree. One morning, something was different. A young boy named Kalo, known for his curious spirit and sharp eyes, was herding his family's cattle near the river. Suddenly the ground trembled, not with the familiar rumble of elephants, but with something heavier, slower. Peeking through the dense reeds, Kalo's eyes widened. There, drinking from the river, was a creature from his wildest dreams. It was enormous, with skin like ancient wrinkled leather, a long, sweeping neck that reached for the highest leaves, and a gentle, curious gaze. It wasn't a monster. It was magnificent. It was a brachiosaurus, though Kalo had no name for it. He simply called it Thulo, meaning giraffe in his language, but the great-great-great-grandfather of all giraffes. Kalo didn't scream. He didn't run. Instead, a sense of wonder filled him. He watched as the gentle giant munched on leaves, its massive tail swaying rhythmically. Slowly, cautiously, Kalo stepped out. The great creature noticed him, its enormous head lowering to get a better look. Its eyes, as large as cooking pots, blinked slowly. There was no menace in them, only a calm intelligence. Kalo, heart pounding with excitement, not fear, backed away slowly and raced back to the village. You can imagine the scene when he burst into the central clearing, breathless, trying to explain what he'd seen. The elders chuckled, patting his head. A giraffe as tall as a hill. My boy, the sun has been too hot on your head today. But Kalo was persistent. He tugged on his father's arm, his eyes pleading. His father, a wise man who knew his son wasn't prone to tall tales, finally relented. He gathered a few brave warriors armed not with spears meant for attack, but with caution and curiosity. They followed Kalo back to the river, and there it was, Tholo. The men froze, their mouths agape. The stories of the elders spoke of legendary beasts, of spirits that walked the earth, but this was real. It was flesh and bone, breathing the same air they did. Its sheer scale was humbling. It was a living mountain. The creature paid them little mind, continuing its peaceful meal. The village chief, a wise old woman named Nomvula, was summoned. She approached the creature slowly, her steps measured and respectful. She saw what Kalo had seen, not a threat, but a wonder. The ancestors have sent us a guardian, she declared, her voice filled with awe. This is not a beast to be feared or hunted. It is a sign, a blessing. And so the most unusual friendship began. The village didn't just accept Tholo. They welcomed it. They learned its rhythms. They discovered it was a herbivore, with a particular fondness for the sweet leaves of the marula tree. The children, led by Kalo, would gather fallen marula fruits and leave them as offerings. In return, Tholo became their protector. Its immense size was a natural deterrent to predators. Lions and hyenas, which once prowled the edges of the village, kept a wide berth. The ground-shaking footsteps of Tholo were a better guard than any fence. Kalo and Tholo developed a special bond. The boy would spend hours sitting near the gentle giant, telling it stories of his village, his family, and his dreams. Tholo would listen, its low, rumbling hums seeming to respond to Kalo's voice. It was a conversation without words, a connection that transcended species and time. Tholo would sometimes lower its massive head, allowing Kalo to touch its rough, warm snout. For Kalo, it was like touching a piece of the living earth. The presence of the dinosaur changed the village in unexpected ways. The children grew up without the constant fear of predators. They became bolder, more curious, their world expanding beyond the confines of the kraal. They saw this impossible creature living peacefully among them and learned a profound lesson about acceptance and coexistence. They learned that the unknown is not always something to be feared. Sometimes it's something to be understood. The elders found new meaning in their old stories, weaving Tholo into their mythology as a great spirit of the land. They noted how its heavy footsteps would compact the earth in certain areas, creating natural channels that diverted rainwater, preventing floods during the rainy season. Its dung, rich in nutrients from the treetops, became a prized fertilizer, making their crops flourish like never before. The dinosaur, a relic from a forgotten world, had seamlessly integrated into their own, enriching it in ways they could never have imagined. It was a perfect symbiosis. One day, a group of traders from a distant city arrived. They saw Tholo and their eyes lit up with greed. They saw not a wonder, but a commodity, a prize to be captured and sold to a king or a collector for a fortune. They approached the chief with offers of gold, weapons, and exotic goods. "Sell us the beast," they urged. "You will be rich beyond your wildest dreams." Chief Numvula looked at the shiny trinkets they offered. Then she looked at Thulo, peacefully grazing nearby as the village children played safely in its shadow. She smiled a knowing smile. "What you offer is cold and lifeless," she told the traders. "You want to put a price on the mountain that walks, the guardian of our children, the bringer of rain and fertile soil. You want to buy the wonder in a child's eyes. Some things are not for sale." She explained that Tholo was not a possession. It was part of their family, part of their land. It was a gift, and gifts are to be cherished, not sold. The traders, bewildered and frustrated, eventually left, unable to comprehend a wealth not measured in gold. The village celebrated their decision, not with a loud party, but with a quiet, shared understanding. They had chosen community over coin, wonder over wealth. Years passed. Kalo grew into a young man, his bond with Tholo as strong as ever. The dinosaur became a legend, a story told in hushed, awe-struck tones by travelers who passed through the region. It was the village with the living mountain. The story wasn't just about a dinosaur in Africa. It was a story about wisdom, the courage to embrace the unknown, and the understanding that true wealth lies in harmony with nature and each other. It taught that the greatest treasures are not things we can own, but the connections we forge and the wonders we have the privilege to witness. The tale of Kylo and his dinosaur reminds us that sometimes the most extraordinary things can happen in the most ordinary of places, and that a little bit of curiosity and a whole lot of heart can change the world. Thank you so much for watching and sharing this story with me today. If you enjoyed this journey, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next adventure. See you next time.